Hi, Martin here. Welcome to part 2 of my Chrysler 9 1/4 drum to disc brake conversion. This rear axle came out of a 2000 Dodge Durango RT with 392 gears and a track lock. And I wanted to convert to disc brakes. The brakes themselves, most of the components other than the rotors came from a 2003 Dodge Durango. And I'll show you all the steps you got to go through to get these disc brakes on there. Alright, let's get started. Now the first thing you're going to want to start with is removing the drums, which they put up quite a fight. They're a little bit rusted on there, but I'll put a link right up here to show you how you can get those off. I just got that video done. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and remove the rear cover, get this drained, and we're going to pull the C-clips out of the differential and pull these axles out of here so we can get the drum brake backing plates off of there. And we're also going to remove all the factory brake lines, so you're going to need that from your donor vehicle as well. So get the disc brake backing plates that I just showed you, and I'm going to go ahead and order a new set of rotors. I'm going to get some slotted and drilled ones or something like that with new pads. Alright, let's start with the cover. Leave the one bolt on so that cover dish doesn't fall off of there. Okay, rotate your carrier until you can find the cross pin bolt right there. 8mm, 15/16 works all right too. There we go. Remove that bolt. All right, rotate the carrier down a little bit. I usually just get behind it, see if I can't push it out. This one's not going to come out as easy. May have to persuade it out. Drive it out just enough to where I can get that cross pin bolt back in there. Oh, there it goes. Look at that. Now it wants to come out. There we go. Now if it wouldn't have came out, what you can do is take your cross pin bolt, put it in that hole, and then use that to pull on the pin to get it out of there. Alright, now I'm going to push the axle inward right there. It fell out. The C-clip did. That's alright. That's what magnets are for. I can actually see it down here. There we go. Now just do the same to the other one. Now you're able to pull both axles out. Next, go ahead and remove all the brake lines that are on here, because we're going to have to change those out. Just pry this metal tab up to get your brake line out of there. You just really need to replace these hard lines. This, the rubber line here that goes to the frame, that one I'm pretty sure you can keep, because it's the same, disc or drum. There we go. Now using a 9/16 socket, Now you should be able to pull the backing plate right off. Alright, we're going to go ahead and just remove these studs. I put the nuts back on. These studs are too short, so you're going to need the ones from the 03 Durango axle. Yeah, they're worth saving. Of course, I can't throw anything away. Now, before we cut this flange off of here, we want to record the angle that this is at. So using this like angle finder here, put that on there square, and you can see that we're getting 2.7 degrees, and that's tipping that way, okay, toward the front. So you want to record that. So when we replace it and put the new flange on here, we're going to clock it at the exact same angle. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and just pull this bearing and seal out of here. The seal I'm definitely replacing. There, it's starting to come. Man, that is the hardest one I've ever had to pull out. Usually they don't come out that hard. Got it. When it comes to removing this flange from the axle tube, I tried with my plasma cutter, and you just can't, the way that the head of that plasma is, you can't get down there very well, and you end up having to do quite a bit of grinding. And I think the best way is just to use a angle grinder with cut-off wheels, and then finish it off with a grinding blade on here, and just smooth it out. And then the final finish would be a flapper disc. And you're just going to have to cut off small pieces at a time and go around, and then whatever's left over, grind it down. Also, this fitting right here that secures your brake line, you won't need it at all. It won't work with the new brake lines, so these can be removed. Alright, after getting it all worked down with the flapper disc, and you can see how far it goes on. Let's check how much that is. You see we're still at about 36 millimeter. We got to go all the way to 48, excuse me. So what I've done here is taken a Sharpie and drew a line as far as this flange will go. and that'll tell us where we need to work on. You know, no reason to remove any material over here. We got to get the material from here over removed so we can get to that 48 millimeters. Now we're getting close. 44. Look at that. With a little bit of tapping, I got it to 47. I'm sure a little bit more, I can get to 48 with no problem. So I think I got it good. Now I'll get it clocked correctly and get that on there square. And then we got to make sure we get the angle correct too on here. And I'm looking for around, I'm going to do it about 2.3 degrees. 2.2 degrees, that's cool. But remember, that's only because of where I have it setting. I recorded it before. This is what I want to return it to. Well, I got this one side all mocked up. You know, I got everything bolted into place, put the axle shaft in, just check things out. And one thing I noticed though, this gap right here between the rotor and this like backing plate, it's kind of large, larger than I think it should be. So I went back down to pick apart, found another 03 Durango down there and had disc brakes and did some measuring. And the gap between basically the rotor and the plate is right at 9 to about 10 millimeters. You got to give a little because, you know, this is kind of like a piece of sheet metal and there could be slight variations. But if you look down in there, I just noticed that it looks like that rotor should be back there further. Like I mounted the flange back farther than it should be. Even though I went to 48 millimeters, and I know that's the measurement off that axle tube. You know, I don't know why there's a variation. If they did something different on the axle tubes, had different lengths, and that's what's throwing off my measurement. But I think I'm going to have to cut off my welds, my spot welds that I did, and move that out to maybe at least 46 millimeters maximum. I'm almost thinking 45 would be better to, because also what's happening on the caliper, it is like maxing out the movement that caliper can go for this outer brake pad. To leave some kind of a gap in there. You know, I mean, I can see air, you know, light all the way through there, but it just doesn't feel like that's where that caliper should be setting. It seems like it's really got to be over there. I'm worried that this brake pad on this side is going to see more wear than it should. And I'm going to go ahead and move those flanges. I mean, I hate doing it, but I'd rather tell you about it, you know, and we get it right. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those off, the welds, and get them moved probably to 45 or 46 max, and maybe 45 millimeter. I think would be a better location off of that, off the end of the tube length there, back 45 mil. We'll go for that. with that 100% welded. I'm ready to put the studs back in here for the backing plate. It turned out pretty nice. Now at this point we can go ahead and reinstall the bearings. This would be a great time to replace them if so needed. Okay, with the bearing installed, I got the studs reinstalled here. Before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and shoot this up with some paint, and then we'll get the backing plate, rotor, axle, all that put back in. Alright, now we're going to install the new wheel seal. And then using a race and bearing installation tool and seal tool. Now with everything painted, the seals installed, we can go ahead and permanently mount the backing plate on here. Now I don't exactly know what the torque spec is on these, but I would guess it should be around 35 foot-pounds. Okay. Alright, now we can go ahead and reinstall the axles. I applied some oil to the seal and squirted a little bit on the bearing as well. And go ahead and push it in all the way because we've got to get the C-clip put back on inside the differential. Now this is the other axle here. I don't know if you can see that in the video. Hopefully you can. But there's like a wear mark. I don't know if the bearing did not get enough lubricant, and it looked like it did a little damage to that surface of the axle. For right now I'm going to put it in there. But when I swap axles, I'm going to pull the other axle out of my Dakota and see if it's in better shape than this one, and then I'll change them out. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Now with the axles installed, I'm going to return the C-clips. I put a little grease on there. Acts like a little glue. Helps hold on there. Once you get it on there, you can push that axle outward like that. Now I'm just going to grab the axle from out here. There we go. Alright, now we can return the cross pin. Rotate the diff a little bit. There we go. I'm going to line up the hole right there. Put that bolt in there. There we go. And now just tighten that bolt back down again. Okay, now we can go ahead and put the rotors on here. I got the slotted and drilled ones, and generally they'll tell you what side they go on. Like this one, it says rear passenger side. And it does make a difference. There we go. Now when installing the hardware on these brackets, there's two different ones, and you got to line them up with that slot right there. And if you put the wrong one on there, you're going to know. See, that one is correct. This one here, as you can see, right there, see how it doesn't line up. So this would be the correct one. I cleaned all this up and repainted it, so we've got nice clean surfaces. And to get these pads in there, shove that in there that way. To get them in there, take this to be the one against the pistons of the caliper. Bring it in here toward the middle, and then the other side, bring that underneath that tab right there. And then you may need a screwdriver just to pry that up a little bit. And that way you can slide the pad underneath there. There we go. Alright, now that we got our calipers all put together, we can go ahead and put them on. Now I got it all assembled with the bracket already. Get the calipers on here. I got blue Loctite on the threads here. I believe that's 21 millimeter. I don't know what the torque spec is, but it's got to be pretty high with the size of bolt that those are. this being 100 foot-pounds. Oh yeah, I bet the torque spec's higher than that. That was pretty easy actually. Okay, we basically got the entire axle put back together. Other than I still got to put the rear diff cover on. I'm going to use this gasket maker by Permatex. It's made for to be used with gear oil. I've used this in the past. It works really well. And then I'm not going to put the e-brake cables and the brake lines in yet. I still have to move these spring perches and rolling the axle around to get that job done on these sawhorses here could damage the brake line, so I'm just going to wait on that. So in the next video I'll be showing you how to remove these from the axle and move them into a different location. Unfortunately, you've got to do that. You can't just bolt a Durango rear end into a Dakota. They actually have a different location for the spring perch, even if it was on the same side of the axle, like they both go under this spring or over, it wouldn't matter. You'd have to move these spring perches to swap a rear end from a Durango into a Dakota, or vice versa. So that'll be the next video doing that, and then we'll also be in that same video we'll install the rear axle, swap them out into the Dakota. So that'll be really exciting, because going from 355s to 392s, I ought to be able to see quite a difference there. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you're looking to do that swap, here it is. It is a bit of work, but I think it's going to be well worth it. I hope you liked it. I sure appreciate the thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to me before, please hit that subscribe button right down there and that little bell symbol right next to it, and that way you get notified the next time I upload a video, like removing these spring perches. Alright, and I'm also an Amazon affiliate, so please check out in the description where you'll find tools and products we used in the video, and you can do all your Amazon shopping through one of those links, and that way the channel earns a small commission. I sure appreciate that. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you on the next one.